You know that moment when your business looks successful on paper, but you're quietly panicking behind the scenes? Well, that was me earlier this year. I had a 7-person team, 5 offers, and a brand that looked scaled. But then I lost a big client, got hit with a health scare, and suddenly realized I'd built a business that was growing, but not scaling. So I did the unthinkable. I scaled back, and it turned out to be the best decision I've ever made. People love to say that scaling means hiring, add more people, build a bigger team. That's how you grow. And that's exactly what I did. Over the past few years, I built my team up. It looked like success. We were growing, clients were happy. I was finally doing CEO things. But here's what no one tells you. The bigger your team, the more energy you spend managing instead of leading. Every decision rolled back to me, every fire, every wobble, every AI blip, you name it. It looked like freedom, but it felt like chains. And somewhere along the way, I bought into a new belief that you're not a real CEO until you have a big team. What a cod puts a wallop. That one got me because my version of success had quietly, sneakily shifted from being one about peace and purpose to payroll and perception. And what's even more nuts is that that's the exact reality I'd said when I started my business that I wanted to avoid. And it's the reality I help my clients avoid. But then this year, everything came to a head. I lost a major retainer client around the same time I had that health scare. That forced me to slow down. And honestly, that scared me more than the bank balance. Studying neuroscience meant that I understood what was happening to my parasympathetic nervous system when I was hesitating to make decisions, when I felt like I was frozen and couldn't decide what was the best path forward going to be for my business. And while that was happening, before I knew it, the numbers were sliding and not upwards, they were sliding down fast. And I realized something that literally made my asshole pucker. And that was the longer I kept paying my full team, the sooner I was going to run out of cash and the higher the chance that I wouldn't be able to pay myself and pay my bills. Now, the logical part of my brain knew what had to happen, but my ego wasn't having any of it. It told me, Deirdre, you've worked too hard to shrink your team or your business now. So I did what I teach my clients to do when they're stuck in a state of fear or resistance. And that is I used a positive psychology reframing technique on myself. I sat down, I broke the situation into 4 parts. Number 1, what are my beliefs about this situation? Number 2, what are the consequences, both positive and negative, of keeping things as they are? Number 3, are these beliefs actually true? Or is this just my brain's old patterns trying to protect me? And number 4, finally, what action will I take? How will I move forward from the situation? For me, it was if cash flow isn't at X per month by the 31st of July, I need to make cuts, no matter how hard that is. And that last part was key because giving your prefrontal cortex a hard deadline forces clarity. It stops the limbic system from literally running the show and making decisions on your behalf. And I was 100% transparent with my team about this as it was unfolding from April to July. They were doing exceptional work. They deserved honesty. And I'll tell you, that part was brutal because these weren't just resources to me. They weren't just contractors. They were people I cared about, people who'd helped me build this business. And I kept thinking, like, what if I can't get them back later? What if this is a step backwards and I'll never make it back here? But the truth was, holding on longer out of fear was the step backwards. So I followed through. July, I hadn't hit the revenue cash flow monthly that I wanted to hit. So I scaled back from 7 people to 4. And guess what happened? It's been my best year in business yet. I doubled down on 1 core offer instead of juggling 5. I use the tool I now teach in Millionize to identify my cash cow, the 1 core offer that could truly scale and really be profitable. And then when I executed on that, I've had my best quarter ever. My Millionize Mastermind is literally oversubscribed People are going onto my website, filling in the application form for the wait list, and are literally like, when the doors are open next, I'm getting messages asking me this. Like, what the fuck? That's like a huge shift, right? Letting people go this year and scaling back my team doesn't mean I'm never going to hire anyone again. It just means I'll be way more intentional about how revenue flows, what's actually scalable, and where I really truly want to spend my energy and my resources. Because scale isn't about adding layers, it's about creating leverage. And personally, I feel lighter, more present, and more me. If we haven't met yet, I'm Deirdre Martin, neuro-strategist, author architect, and founder of Millionize Mastermind. I help service-based founders like you break out of the expert trap where your brilliance becomes your bottleneck and build businesses that you can scale without burning you out. And if that's where you are right now, well, this episode is definitely for you. So let's talk about the 3 shifts I made that changed everything, from how I structure my business to how I define success and how this can work for you too. Because the truth is, doing more isn't scaling. It's just busier freaking chaos with a nicer title. Okay, the first point I want to make is that I want you to stop calling it scale when it's literally just more work. Most founders hit a ceiling and think, I'll just hire my way out. But without structure, that help just multiplies your chaos. And I learned that the hard way. My team was incredible, truly. But even with the autonomy to drive forward and to leverage our well-structured systems and processes, everything still ran through me. And that's not scale, that's survival with a payroll. And what I tell clients to do is that when they're at that scale level, they need to make a really scary hire decision, which is to hire people for where they want to get their business to, not for where their business is at right now. Because when you hire people for where you want to get your business to, those are decision makers in your business. But I didn't have decision makers in my business. I had task takers. So what I had to do was the opposite of what most people do. I paused growth and I focused on profitability before staffing. I documented everything that drove real profit. I stopped paying attention to any metrics on social media or any of those things. I wasn't paying attention to one-off wins where somebody would hire me to do a strategy day or a training workshop or whatever. And I really started to look at the things that could generate a lot of cash but weren't consistent, repeatable results, and started to park those and not work on them so much. And that became the foundation for going back to what my model was 2 years ago. Determine your core 1 or 2 offers, productize them, ensuring that they're clear, outcome-driven, and scalable offers. It wasn't easy. The expert part of me wanted to keep fixing things myself, but that's just the dopamine loop talking, that rush of quick wins that tricks your brain into thinking busy equals productive. Oh my God, our brains lie to us so much. And if this is resonating with you, I have a little suggestion for you. Block off 90 minutes in your calendar and call it a CEO clarity session. Write down every offer or service that you sell and circle the ones that create real profit with minimal hand holding, because that's where scale can really start. And then I want to caveat here that in 2 of my recent strategy days, both of the clients thought that the thing that was scalable in terms of their offer actually wasn't. Okay, point number 2, climb the ladder. When I looked at my offers, I realized I was trying to scale everything. And that's why nothing was really working very well. That's why I wasn't really scaling any one particular thing. So I built what I call the ascension ladder, right? And that ascension ladder, it works really well. Once you're really clear on your core IP, there's ways that you can leverage that. So step 1 of looking at this is, what is that core productized service? The thing that's repeatable, predictable, where there's a fixed fee, where it's easy to deliver and it's specific outcomes. Step 2 is looking at leverage services. That's one-to-many. So programs, group programs, workshops, trainings, where you can help multiple people at one time. And it could be even in 1 hour or 30 minutes. And step 3 was to look at my digital assets. That's the dream layer. It's like you create it once and you sell it often. So when I mapped this offers against my ladder, one stood out, and that was my cash cow, the one I could deliver efficiently with high impact and that had strong margins. And that focus changed everything. It helped me sharpen my message. It helped me improve my client delivery. But best of all, my profitability soared. And at the end of the day, we're all in business to be profitable, right? But what was most interesting is that since I became more hands-on again, my client retention hit 100%. And that told me something important. Scale isn't just about systems, it's about presence. If you want to get your messaging right around that one scalable offer, by the way, go and listen to episode 121, How to Write a Brand Message That Attracts High-Paying Clients. Point 3. Redefine success before it redefines you. Now, for me, this one's personal. Since scaling back, I noticed other things slipping. My weekly storytelling email, my podcast consistency, my posting schedule on LinkedIn, and even how often I post a newsletter on LinkedIn. But here's the difference. It's intentional because I've redefined what success looks like. Now success includes the mornings where I spend riding my horse midweek because it's winter, it's dark by 4:30, and I would much rather be out in Ireland when it's bright and wet and windy than dark and wet and windy. And then it means I'm finishing work still at a reasonable hour to have dinner with my family. So I don't feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm aligned. And that mindset shift came from positive psychology too, focusing on what's working, not what's missing. Because when you wire your brain towards the progress that you've made instead of pressure to achieve, you end up building resilience. And that's the neuroscience of growth, the neuroplasticity that lets you reprogram what success even feels like. So I have an action for you to take. Here's what it is. I want you to ask yourself, what season of business are you actually in right now? And because maybe it's not a season to expand, but maybe it's a season to stabilize, and both are valid. So from today, from listening so far, here's what I want you to take away. Scaling isn't about adding more people. It's about removing what no longer serves you. Structure creates freedom, and sometimes the most strategic move is stepping back before you can step forward. So here's your next step. Grab the revenue stream prioritization matrix at www.deirdremartin.ie/revenue stream. It's the same matrix that I use to find my cash cow and rebuild my cash flow and confidence from the ground up, simpler, stronger, and more profitable. And it's the same one that brought to light for 2 of my Millionize clients in strategy days that they were actually focusing on growing the wrong offer. If this episode resonated, please do me a favor and share it with one founder who you know is teetering on that edge of burnout, the one who needs permission to pause before they push. You've got this. Lead like a CEO, not the busiest expert in the room. And until next time, keep mastering your business.